Winning the Super Bowl is one of the biggest achievements in the sports world. You've climbed to the highest ground and stand above everyone else as the best team in all of football. For the winners, there are parades, ring ceremonies, and having their names enshrined into football history. Any and all previous failures washed away in a blanket of success that'll be the center of talking discussions for years to come. But for where there's a winner, there must be a loser. The team that fought all season only to come up just short when it was all on the line. For the losing team, there is no such glory. Only the painful memories of watching their team lose on the biggest stage. There's some dignity in at least making the Super Bowl, but nobody remembers the teams who lost unless they made their loss memorable, eventually being swept away into obscurity or becoming the butt end of jokes on internet forums everywhere. And while fans are quick to say, there is always next year, for many of the losing teams, that year was their best chance as their window would close in the years to come. So let's recap how the last 11 Super Bowl losers have fared since they lost the big game. The Colts were only 3 years removed from winning their second Super Bowl in team history and were looking to cement themselves as a dynasty to be reckoned with. Sporting a 14-0 record until they chose to lose, the Colts boasted an offensive firepower with guys like Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, and Dallas Clark. The wheels would come apart against the Saints and the Colts would never look the same again, losing in the wildcard game the very next year to the Mark Sanchez-led Jets, and injuries to Peyton Manning would lead to the suck for luck movement. The closest they came to getting back ended with an NFL scandal, as the Colts were destroyed by New England in the AFC Championship game and the Deflategate scandal would come to be. Hiring Ryan Grigson to be the general manager in this time period also doesn't help, as he failed to provide any help to Andrew Luck, leading to his retirement at the start of the 2019 season. In the 10 years since their loss to the Saints, the Colts have made one AFC Championship game appearance, and are once again rebuilding for the future. Much like the Colts, the Steelers were only 2 years apart from winning their last Lombardi trophy and were hoping to extend their count to an unheard of 7 Super Bowl wins, the only thing standing in their way being the upstart Green Bay Packers. The Steelers would keep the game close, but would come up short on the final drive of the game. Legendary players for the organization would retire in the years to come, including Hines Ward and Troy Polamalu, and drama from within the locker room would become a nagging problem festering the organization as AB would lose his mind. Le'Veon would hold out for an entire season, and Big Ben would become the quote-unquote leader of men. Despite having talents like Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell on the team, the Steelers would never make it back to the Super Bowl, instead suffering the same fate as the Colts. One AFC Championship game appearance, a loss at the hands of New England. With Ben's age becoming an upcoming problem combined with his most recent injury, the fate of the Steelers is unknown. There isn't much to say here. The Patriots would once again fall to the hands of the Eli Manning-led Giants in the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years. They'd only go on to 7 straight AFC Championship games and 3 more Super Bowls, winning 2 of them. Nothing too serious. This year merely a footnote in a dynasty that lasted nearly 20 years and saw the Patriots make an insane 9 Super Bowl appearances and capture 6 titles, all under Belichick and Brady. If you were to look up the words complete and utter collapse in the dictionary, you'd probably find a picture of the post-Super Bowl 47 49ers in there, as the 49ers had quite possibly the quickest transition from Super Bowl contender into one of the worst teams in the league. With an elite offense and defense boasting the talents of Justin Smith, Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman, Aldon Smith, Frank Gore, Michael Crabtree, and a surging new quarterback in Colin Kaepernick, led by their khaki-wearing head coach Jim Harbaugh. This was the team that had made 3 consecutive NFC Championship games and looked to forge themselves as the best team in the NFC for years to come. Then the wheels came off. Jim Harbaugh was fired from his duties as a result of a power struggle, instead replaced by a puppet meant to serve as the whipping boy for the front office and ownership. That ferocious defensive line washed away with Justin Smith's retirement and Aldon Smith's inability to keep off his off-the-field antics. A linebacker core decimated by injuries that would force Patrick Willis into an early retirement, and would leave Bowman with major questions if he could ever regain his all-pro form. Colin would regress in the years to come and would not be aided by his number 1 wideout in Crabtree, who took his talents to Oakland. In just 3 years, the 49ers were 1 game away from their 2nd straight Super Bowl to finishing as the 2nd worst team in the league. Their story, a message to all. One off-season can shut your window as fast as it had seemingly opened. that power struggles between the front office only leads to destroying the very core you created. Had the Broncos never returned to the Super Bowl and actually won the second time around, this game would have been yet another laughingstock. To boast the league's best offense yet lose the game on the first snap is an accomplishment only few have achieved. They did win a Super Bowl 2 years later, so they didn't really fail at their window.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
The Seahawks never recovered from this play. In the 5 years since this play, the Seahawks have never even made it back to the NFC Championship game, losing in the divisional round in 3 of the 4 years they qualified for the playoffs with a wildcard loss to Dallas thrown in. They've been a playoff team, but never good enough to get back to the dance. Their legacy ultimately remembered more by the interception than their victory. You boast one of the best offenses in the league and coast into a 15-1 record, only to lose to Peyton Manning in his final ride into the sunset. You'd follow up such a great season by going 6-10 the following year and only make the playoffs 1 time in the following 4 years. Not to mention you got to see the departure of guys like Josh Norman, Luke Kuechly, Cam Newton, and Thomas Davis. You're all but rebuilding now, hoping to recreate the magic of your one-year wonder. You lived and died by Kyle Shanahan. Without him, you don't have the type of season you did back in 2016. While Kyle Shanahan went on and took his magic to San Francisco, the Falcons continued to allow Dan Quinn to underachieve with his talent. The offense without Shanahan, symbolized by Sarkisian's decision to run 4 straight passing plays at the goal line against Philly. You too are another NFC South team having to rebuild it back up after your quick and subsequent fall from grace. If you fail, you'll be remembered for wasting the careers of Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. Do I really need to say anything here? Congratulations, Los Angeles Rams. You get to experience the joys of cap hell and having no draft capital for building your team as if you were playing Madden. Who knew that throwing endless gobs of money and first-round picks at big-name players would only last you so long before the metaphorical bridge would collapse? Nothing screams desperation than trading even more draft capital for Jalen Ramsey to save your season. Now you have to make money you don't have to extend him, or else you'd have traded 2 first-round picks for half a season of one player. Enjoy an 8-8 finish and missing the playoffs a year after you only put up 3 points when it all mattered. You're the only team on this list to make it back to the Super Bowl only to lose it again. You know what happened to those before you. The championship tax is no easy thing. You'll have to find ways to continually replace key players as they get costlier and costlier. It isn't easy to maintain your status at the top. That much has been proven. Don't let what happened last time happen again. Of the last 11 Super Bowl losers, only 2 teams, the Patriots and Broncos, have managed to get back to the Super Bowl and within 5 years. For many teams, their best shot is their one shot at it. You never know what could derail your season after you had such high expectations the year before. So the lesson to all teams, make the most of your window. You don't know how long it'll truly be until it's shut.